Okay, just to get started, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on ActivInspiring Classroom Management. So for this session, as I said, we've decided to use the audio broadcast option, and therefore most of you will only be able to hear the host and the presenter speaking and not be able to verbally ask questions. So that's why we ask you to make use of that chat facility that comes with WebEx. So now that I'm sharing my screen, you'll notice that your view has changed slightly. And if you hover over the top of your screen, you should have a little drop down of the WebEx tools that will come down. And what you want to look for is that little one that says chat. So if you do have any questions or comments or any ideas that you'd like to share during the session, please make sure that you chat it in using the chat facility, and one of us will pick them up. As I said, the way this is set up, unfortunately, only the panelists can see everybody's chat. So if you do have a question or idea, we will pick that up and then chat that out so that everybody else can see it as well. So I am hoping that Sam is now on our call, and she is. Okay. So I'm going to pass you over to Sam for a minute.
That's okay. So thanks everybody for joining us this evening or this morning, this afternoon, wherever you may be joining us from. So as Jenny said, in this session, we're going to look at some of the creative ways that we can use ActivInspire to support classroom management. Now, we originally had two guest presenters joining us today, Caryn and Sarah. Unfortunately, Sarah hasn't been able to join us at the last minute, but Janice has very kindly gone through her examples with her and hopefully is going to be able to share those explanations with you. We're really thrilled to have Caryn on tonight, just so that we have that experience of a teacher that is using these Wright. I will hope she might have used them today as we're going through, but some really nice examples. So my name is Samantha Clues, and I'm host for this afternoon. I am going to be managing the chat, so if you do want to post your questions and comments, feel free. Janice is our teaching and learning consultant in the UK and Ireland, and is going to be coordinating the presentation throughout the session. So do bear with her because there are 3 different people speaking throughout, and it will all run smoothly. And on the screen now, you'll start to see some of the areas in which Janice is going to be covering.
Thanks, Sam. Sam, just to say, your phone was cutting off a little bit there. I think we managed to catch most of it, but the sound wasn't coming through as clearly as it normally is. I just want to check, can everybody hear me okay? Is my voice coming through nice and clear? Yeah, I'm getting lots of that in the chat, so we do apologize. That's great, okay. Hopefully our sound will continue on. Oh, lots of chat coming in, that's so nice. So as Sam said, on the screen now you can see some of the things that we'll be covering in this session. Now, I do have to say, secondary teachers joining us tonight, you might find that a lot of the content that we're showing has more of a sort of heavily primary focus, and I do apologize for that. Just happens to be because of the guest presenters that we have tonight, so the teachers that I had available to me who volunteered to come on and help us with this webinar. But do remember, everything that we're showing you is really about things that you can do in your classroom. So you pick and choose the pieces that are most appropriate to yourselves and your class. And any of the ideas that we have can be adapted. Sam is also going to come in with her secondary teaching expertise, and she's going to give us some ideas on how she used the software for managing classroom routines and behavior when she was in the classroom as well. Okay, so let's get started. Now, as we always say, these half-hour sessions tend to be packed with information and the pace moves quite quickly. But don't worry, if you miss something, you will be sent a link to the recording after this, and you can view that and look back at it as much as you want to pick up anything that you did miss. So because you've registered and attended the session, you will automatically be sent that link to the recording. We're also going to upload the flipchart that we're using tonight onto Promethean Planet so that you will be able to download the flipchart and use some of the examples that you've seen tonight as well. Okay, I'm also going to, a lot of the content I'm showing tonight has been taken from other teachers who have shared the flipcharts that they've made on Promethean Planet. So I'll make sure to highlight those as well, so you can go back and try and find those on Promethean Planet as well. And wherever I can, I've pointed out how to go back and find the content that we're showing. Okay, so let's get started. So we're just going to start off with some pages that Sarah shared. And we just want to say right from the beginning that when we're talking about classroom management, as I'm sure you all know, it's about setting the tone in your classroom, setting the routines in your classroom, the management of how the classroom is run, and establishing that from the beginning. And you want to make sure that you're consistently using these ideas throughout the school year. So we don't just use something once or twice every once in a while and expect our class to get it. We want to build these in as part of our classroom routines so that when they see the pages coming up, they know about it. But we don't have to be boring and always keep them the same, because we can very easily change a basic format, a basic page that we already have, as we progress through the year as well. So starting off, Sarah shared a page here that is looking at sharing our learning intentions. So I'm sure that all of you are familiar with this. So her idea is at the beginning of the day, or at the beginning of a lesson, her class would know that this page comes up in whatever variation it is, sometimes with a white background, sometimes with a colored background, sometimes with an image behind it. And just changing that image is so nice, because it keeps your class guessing, and the class gets quite excited to see, or interested to see, what the next picture is that's going to be coming up. And I can also tie that into the particular learning that's going to be happening as well. So a really simple page of just putting the boxes in that can be used again and again. So if we go into our resource library here, just to show you how simple it is if you haven't seen this before, to change a background, I can go into my resources, I can just find some backgrounds here, and all I did was just put a picture behind it. Okay, so you can see it changes the page, it changes the look of the feel of the page, and it also keeps that interest going. So there's lots of nice backgrounds that you can have. What I can also do is I can save this page into my resources. So I've just gone to my personal resources and my resources, and to save any of the pages that we're showing tonight, I would just right-click on the page, and what I want to do is go down to Add to Resource Library and Add Page to the Resource Library, and you can see that that page now appears here. You just have to make sure that you have the folder open that you want it to go into. So right now I've just put it into the My Resources folder. If I just go to an untitled flip chart here, I was playing around with earlier, I can drag that out, and you can see how quickly I could then use that page. And once it's here, I'm still able to edit that, so I could go back and change the background for this flip chart. Okay? So a nice little classroom routine idea to start us off with. This is another one that Sarah shared, and it was looking at behavior going on in the class. And so at the beginning of the year, she would start this out with herself coming up and moving the names. And in this case, we've gone with some generic superhero names as opposed to our class names. But I could put lots more on here. And what we've done is we've used the restrictor to make sure that those objects just move nice straight up and down. So she would start off with moving the names and placing them where they would maybe fit on this behavior chart throughout the day, and they could move them. They would be able to move themselves up and down depending on how they were altering their behaviors as the day progressed. Later on, as she got further into it, and the class were used to seeing this, she would be able to have the class at any point, learners to be able to go up and move their names up and down as well, and also start to look at, okay, this is where you are today, so you've got to think about it. So let's see, what could you do to move yourself up on that scale? What sort of ways could you change your behavior? So a really nice little idea there. I'm going to let Sam pop in here.
Thanks,
Sam,
Jenny.
do you need to...
Yep, I'm here. Janice asked me to think of ways that we could adapt pages to work in the secondary environment. And obviously when you have coming in and out of your classroom a lot, it is important to establish routines, but you don't want to be shouting all the time. You don't want to, every class that has a different vibe to it. One of the ways in which I used to start my lessons in September and possibly go up to maybe October and to protect my voice was to very simply use a plain white background with a pen, and I would set that pen in white as well. Now, once I've established my classroom routines, whatever they may be, so for my school, the students had to have their planners and a pen, pencil, ruler out in front of them on the table, coats are on the back of the chairs, and we had to be sat with our books. So once we've established what those are, I would use the pen. Hopefully Janice is going to show this at the same time. Use the pen.
Oh yes, sorry, I'm answering the question at the same time. My apologies.
Okay.
So,
and I would write a name on the white background. Now, obviously, we will forgive her for her handwriting when she's using the mouse. And on the screen, when I was in the classroom, I would probably write quite small. But just stand at the front and write that particular child's name, the person that's not following those routines, but I'm not going to shout at them, I'm not going to draw attention to them, I'm not going to give them any of that kind of reinforcement at all. Once the majority of the class have settled, I would just use the fill tool to change the colour of the background so that it reveals that child's name. Sam and Janice, apparently, and Sally were very naughty students. And just inform that student that I would like to either see them after the class or that they owe me time. And I guarantee that after a while this gets really old in the classroom because they know you're waiting, they know you're going to do it, they know you're going to follow through. So it's a really simple way of just using the board at the start of a lesson just to say, right guys, I want these routines sticking to, and if you don't, these are the consequences, without you having to use your voice. Now obviously that works really well in my classroom, but it's something you have to be really rigid on.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay. Another example that Sarah provides us that I think can go through primary on the way up to secondary is this idea of a noisometer. Often in classrooms we have different levels of noise depending on the different types of activity that we're looking at. But I just thought this was really simple, that we can just say, okay, noise is okay, and if it gets too high, again it's giving them that visual cue so we can move that arrow, again saving your voice so that you're not necessarily always doing this, and giving them prompts to say, okay, what is there? I just saw someone's comment come on saying the pen's moving but nothing's showing. You get the point now, Jennifer. So I really like that example because it just gives me that visual cue to say, do you know what, it's too loud in here for this particular activity. This is the type of volume that I want. Okay?
What's nice about this example as well, as you can see, I'm rotating the arrow, but the arrow isn't moving around my screen. So I can do this in the restrictors within the software that I've said that it will only rotate on the bottom right corner. And that lets me then pick that up and be able to move that arrow in that way. This is another page that Sarah shared with us, and we really like this one. So she just put this up during class work as a reminder for her class on the type of communication that she wants going on at that time. So again, it's looking at that idea of volumes in the classroom. And the way she set it up for her primary class was to talk about each of these, what they mean, what the different levels of talk would be for them, and what sort of situations they would be used in. And then once her class understands this, she could then click on the little torch and be able to pull up at any time the spotlight tool to just highlight to her class, this is where we should be today. So if anybody's forgotten, she can just direct them up to the board at the front to see that this is the type of level of noise that we should be having in our classroom right now.
One of the best things about this is, I hope Janice is that it's editable. So for my secondary classroom, I wouldn't necessarily want to use the the torch, but I do like the idea of being able to have different levels of volume and the students knowing what is appropriate for that particular task. So partner voice was a really big concept in my school. I'm changing it there. It may be that we want a discussion, so I could change one of these to be, you know, I want to hear what you're saying. I don't know what things that have come up. It's changed one that says low flow, but we would be using our discussion, so I want to hear them talk. But it's a really nice way for students to have that visual cue to know what they should and shouldn't be doing, and then we can follow through again after to say, well, actually, you're not following this procedure, you're not following this routine, so we really want to make sure that you understand how it's going through. You can see it's very quick to edit there, and you can change it.
Yeah. So that's a great thing, again, is just, as we've said all along, is that instead of having to think of these ideas and create all of these pages myself, it's seeing what other people are doing, seeing what other teachers are doing in their classroom, and being able to adapt that to work best for me and my learners. Okay, so thanks, Sam. I've seen lots of chat coming in there, Sam, so just let me know if we need to stop for any questions. Last one that Sam's just going to speak to us about.
This one was all about timers and setting the pace in your classroom. And also it varies in a secondary classroom depending on the topic that you're teaching, but also the age range. So using some of the timers that are found within the software can really help you to keep on top of what you're looking at, especially if you do happen to be teaching the same age range, similar topics and differentiating by outcome. So you can see now, Janice has just gone into the resource library, and under lessons...
Sorry, I want to actually say, Sam, that this particular one I'm showing you right now is a resource pack that I downloaded from Promethean Planet. So this one was separate to the resources that come with the software. And I will talk about this a little bit later on in the webinar. But there are some of those things that you can find in the resource packs that install with the software as well.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. So they're under gadgets in the set resources, but as Janice showed you there are some extra ones. And if we just, if you want to just set a couple of those off, there you go. You can see that we've just got some timers, some visual cues, so you can see how fast they go, depending on your class. You can use these.
Sorry.
Okay, some are more audio as well. So what's great about these is you can obviously use them for your class, but you could set things up with a bit of competition depending on the activity that you're looking at as well. So you're fostering the needs of your class, especially if you focus on specifically maybe boys learning. A lot of that is based around that idea of competition. If you set up, you know, how fast can we do this type of activities? And it just keeps everything flowing in your lesson so you know how long you've spent on a particular topic. I know myself that especially if you're going around the class and you're helping individual students, sometimes the time can just get away with you. So these just keep everything flowing.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I saw a question come in there about resource packs. So just to say, and we like to point this out a lot of times when we do our webinars, the resource packs that install with the ActivInspire software are the top 5. So activities and templates, backgrounds, grids, lesson building tools, and sounds. If you want this subjects resource pack, that is a separate download from Promethean Planet. Okay, so you would just go to where you would download the software, and right above the application downloads, there's one for the main resource pack, and you want to make sure that you've got that subject because there's a lot of fantastic resources to use within there. The one we did talk about was lesson building and gadgets, so you can see some of the gadgets that are available there. But the other one that I showed at the beginning was this one here that went under lesson building, and it gave me timers. And as I said, I will show you at the end where you can find that on Promethean Planet. Okay, If there aren't any urgent questions, Sam, I'm going to pass over to Catherine because I see the time is ticking on as usual.
No, that's everything. I'm answering the questions as we go.
Perfect, thank you. Right, Catherine?
Hi, everybody. I come from a very lower primary point of view. I teach kindergarten, which is junior infants in Ireland, 4 to 5-year-olds. So I have constant, like, I want to do the job, I want to do the job, I want to do the job, whichever it is, to bring things to the office. We use a scheme called Busy Bees, so we usually pick 2 every day. And to make it fun, I put a select number of names behind this little beehive and pull out the names with the children's names on them. And that makes it just kind of fun for them to see it. But I only put a couple of names every day and try and restrict it to people who haven't had a chance before. So that way I know and I can control who's getting the goes to go to the office. It's an easy thing, it's visual, it's pretty, they like it. It's something that everybody in our school now uses because it just makes it easier for people to pick people out to do the job.
Thanks, Catherine.
This goes along with our behaviour policy in school. We work on a green, yellow and red card system. So we try to catch the children being good, and when they're on a warning, they get a yellow card. If they're good, they get a green card, and at the end of the day, they get to go and see the head teacher, and she gives them a sticker and a certificate. If they have a red card, which rarely happens, that's when you get parental intervention and you'll have to call the parents. But I don't think I've ever given out one of those. All I need to do is put up the yellow card and the behaviour changes immediately. So very, very rare to give out the red card.
Sorry, Catherine, that's excellent. I love this one. And just to jump in so people know, as we said, we are sharing this flip chart with these pages on Promethean Planet. And I forgot to ask you, Catherine, are you happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So what I want to just point out is if you want to edit this, we've locked down this grid so that it can't be moved. So you just go into the little snowflake here into design mode, and then that means I could then click in the names and type in somebody else. So type in my class names here, okay? And we put that back into presentation mode, and you see that they can't select it again. So a nice way of getting your class to come up and be able to interact with that, or for you to be able to change it as well and then not have to worry about things being dragged around. These objects here are set to drag a copy, so when I hover over top of them, you'll notice that they have a little hand with a plus sign. That means that I don't have to worry about stacking cards. I can just do one of each color and then have unlimited copies of that. And that's just selecting it, going into the Object Edit menu and drag a copy down here at the bottom. And then that just gives me infinite copies of that particular object.
The idea of this one is that the children all have colour groups. So we use the names of the colours in Irish, so they have green, red, blue and yellow. And when they come up, if one group has been particularly good, I'll go back again to my name selector, which I have another one for the groups, and they'll come up and colour in their square in the colour of their group. So by the time Elmer is finished, we count up the number of squares in which group has done the best.
I love that one again, and I could see, I love Elmer being used for that because obviously that's what Elmer is. He's all those different colors. But I could see you using lots of different images to be able to do that. And again, it's that interaction of the reward of getting them to come up and color it in. I think it's a really, really simple but brilliant idea, Catherine.
That could be used for anything. You can have different images, as Janice says. These are my classroom jobs. My children at the beginning of the year couldn't read their own names. So at the beginning of the year, I used a photograph of each child and put that on top of the, And as the year goes on, I start writing their names in on top of it. So I might write, at this stage now, I'll be beginning to write their names, but at the very beginning of the year, they wouldn't have known whose name was who. So the idea of having a photograph that you can just put onto the top of each one so they could say, oh yeah, that's my job, that's my job. And I use photographs for a lot of things within Inspire. If I'm and within the classroom as well, they have their photograph on all their books so they know whose book is whose. So they know exactly which photo, it's always the same photograph that's used. take one photograph of each one at the beginning of the year.
That's great, Catherine. I like that. And that idea of having your photos of your class available, because what's really nice is you can actually use those photographs and build them into lessons as well. So instead of taking pictures of random children or using the cartoon sort of character children that you can get in the resource library, you could actually bring your own pupils into it. So I could create a folder of class photos and have them available to bring them in to different things that we're doing on the board, different lessons that we might be working through.
Guys, Janice, can I just interrupt you?
Sure.
Just show how to lock an item. We understand how to unlock it, but it'd be great if you can show people how to lock it.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll just use Catherine's page here. So to lock it, you just select it and go up to Object Edit, and then you have the ability to lock it here. So now that's locked on the page. I can't pick that picture up and move it. The only way I can move that now is if I go up into design mode, and then that allows me to move it, select it, and unlock it again. Okay?
Thank you. That's everything.
Thanks.
These are our school rules for the infant classrooms, and we only have 4 rules. So we have kind feet, listening ears, kind hands, and kind words. And at the beginning of the year, I put up a class contract, and I just get them to come up, and if they can write their name, get them to write their name. If they can't write their name, they just draw a little picture on the side of each thing, and they can write all over it. It doesn't matter. But I'll keep the page as a kind of a reminder that sometimes after playground time, you might need to bring back up the page and say, well, we need to have kind feet, we need to have kind hands, and we need to have kind words. And they can see that they've promised to do it and they've signed it. And you can make them understand about what a contract is. You can bring all that teaching element into it as well. And they love kind of showing it to their parents. Look what we've signed. We wrote on the board. And it's just nice to have it as a visual cue, as in just not just something on the wall, but something that you can put up right in front of them very quickly if you need to have it.
That's right, Catherine. And I think that, you know, this resonates with probably all of us who are teachers, to be able to do this, to have a contract, because we often do that. I know I certainly had a contract with my class when I was teaching. And at the beginning of the year, we would discuss the contract and we would sign it and we would all agree to it, and we would come back to that periodically throughout the year. And this is a really nice way of doing it, to have a flip chart page that just has that reminders on there. Nice and visual, you know, with pictures for younger children, but for older children, you can make it more applicable to them. So it doesn't have to be, you know, looking like it's for little children. So lots of different ways that you can. And saving that into my resource library, like I showed you with one of the pages at the beginning of the session, means that we could pull that out and have a look at it again and again, and just constantly reminding them. So it's that classroom management, that behavior management as we continue through the year. Thank you very much for those, Catherine. Oh, we've got one more. Sorry, Catherine. I forgot about your last one here.
Can I just say something about fonts as well?
Yeah.
I like to download fonts that I want to use. So there's lots of free fonts available on the internet. So if I'm doing a particular topic, like if I'm doing something like about the night sky, I have a font called Starry Night that I download, and then I use that font on the flip chart, because once you install it into your font library on a computer, it automatically installs in ActivInspire, which is very handy.
Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice. I like that.
Kind of like, it makes your flip chart kind of sparkly, I suppose, if you have different fonts for different topics.
Yeah,
so
I like that. Thank you, Kath.
This is just kind of like something that I would have had on the wall, but I don't know about how other people's classrooms are. I have very, very little wall space, and I have to have a maths wall, a literacy wall, a science wall. I have to have all these different walls, so I actually have very little room for classroom management stuff on my walls now. And then we're trying to display all the children's art, so I just find to kind of have my behavior stuff on the whiteboard is handy, and then I can just leave it up at different points during the day when we're doing different topics. So this is just a very, very simple downloadable poster that I just put up on the board. It's just something to show that it doesn't always have to be something that you create, but this is something that I just found on the internet, but it's straight up, change the size and can leave it up so the children know what it is.
That's great. I actually came across something along this lines on Promethean Planet. So it was looking at visual timetables for children with special educational needs. And I'm sure that we've all seen the little icons, the little images on the visual timetables before, but this idea exactly. So there is lots of this stuff, not only on the internet all over the place, like Catherine says, but a lot of this stuff is there on Promethean Planet, and also in the format that's ready to come in as resource packs, ready to come in and be able to use very easily within the ActivInspire software. Okay, thank you very much, Catherine. Those were really great ideas, and I think that everybody else will agree. And I'm going to move on because I see we're at half an hour now, so I do apologize that we are going to run a little bit over, but I think that you will be interested in seeing the other pages that we've got. And I did it again. Catherine, you've got one more page. Sorry.
As you said, Janice, this is a visual timetable. I tend to have, I have a lot of children that have English as a second language. In fact, more than half my class is English as a second language. So for reading for them can sometimes, or even understanding what it is, can be an issue. So this is just a simple visual timetable that I create so that they know what's coming up during the day.
That's great. Thank you, Catherine. I'm sorry that I kind of jumped the bandwagon beforehand. Anyway, at least people will know with the recording that this is a live session, so you can get that from the silly mistakes that I make as we go along. But anyway, I love that. I think that's such a good idea, especially for younger learners. So, as I said, there is a lot of stuff on Promethean Planet that is ready for you to be able to find and download to be able to use in your classroom. So you don't have to create everything from scratch. You can download somebody else's ideas and then just customize them to suit how you want to. So there are a variety of resource packs that I found while preparing for this webinar that I think cover behavior management and classroom management very, very nicely. The first one there, you can see I've got a little star next to it, is classroom management. And if I click on here, you'll see down the side here the little images that we've got. So we've got some of those timers that are there. We've got a really nice classroom helper activity, so you could just change the names on here. You can change the images to ones that are more relevant to your classroom as well, but it means that you're not having to do the basic structure of the page. Classroom participation chart, so when they're participating. I've also got a discipline one as well, and another discipline one, so a positive behavior charts. School meals, so getting them to tell you through your visual, your whiteboard, what they're doing for lunches so they can move their name into the correct place. So there's lots that are available in this resource pack to have a look at it, some really good ones. Okay. There's also a group on Promethean Planet that you can get into that's called Activities in a Flash. Now, I don't think there's as much activity in it as there used to be, but what you do get is these really great little flash activities that you can bring into your software. And again, there is a resource pack that you can download for that, and I'll see if I can find it. I can't remember off the top of my mind where it is in here, but lots of little flash animations, again, like a rolling dice, a clock that's a flash. You've got those timers of different types as well. A really nice couple of ones I loved about birthdays. So it was a special page for people who had birthdays and holidays as well. So do have a look at that. Flash utilities is another one. The flash-based timers, I showed you some of those earlier. They're really good. And then we've got a few other ones here that would work as well. Other searches that I found to be successful for finding these types of materials were searching for classroom management, routines, backgrounds. There's some really good backgrounds that you can use as well, and also for calendars. And then within the themed area, so that's under the top menu of Promethean Planet, resources, and then going to themes, which is in the menu along the left. back to school theme has some great ideas, as does the calendar and time. So let's just have a quick look at some of these great pages that I was able to find. Now I really like this. This is an idea of the classroom register. So this was shared by Caryn Brown, and I've not. These aren't photos of her class. I just took photos that I'd found in a safe search on Google, and put them on just so you could see them, because I thought it was much better than just having the boxes. So this is what she would do with her class, and then as they would come in, they would just click on it. So she would be able to see very quickly who is here and who isn't here. But what also is going on is they're slowly revealing something that they're going to be learning that day behind there. Okay, so I thought not only was it great because that was her register, but it was also the fact that she had something behind there that was going to give them an idea of what they were going to be learning that day. So because this is a routine that she did on a regular basis, they came to expect that, and they looked forward to finding out what they were going to be learning, and that would often spark off the discussion at the beginning of the day. So it's a nice little idea. This was a particular flip chart by Jessica at the bottom here, and it was called Attendance. And what she had was a page for each holiday throughout the year, such as this one. So I like this one with Christmas, and I love this little flash animation that she has on here. It just brings it to life. And it was a register idea, again, that the class would just drag up their names onto the Christmas tree, and they would end up decorating the Christmas tree. Okay, so nothing high-tech, nothing fancy, but still, you know, appealing to the learners of her age group to be able to come in and drag their names up for registration. Really enjoyed these ones as well, and for some reason I've not got the name of who shared this on here, which I tried to do, so I'll need to look back and make sure that I put that on for the one that I share. But again, this one I took from Promethean Planet, and I just love this because it was just that, you know, beginning of the day routine. So what day is it? We could write in here, we could write the date in numbers, we could put it in writing. To change any of these things, remember we just go into design mode, then I can enter the text box and I could change the month, I could change the year because it's obviously not 2011 anymore. Also in design mode, if I pull this off to the side, I could change the numbers to make the calendar relevant for this school year. And the idea was that they would fill in the information, they could drag it on each day to show the days that have happened so far in the month. So they're doing a countdown of the days in the month, and also had this little cake that could be dragged on to show when it was somebody's birthday as well, so when it was somebody's special day happening there. Okay, so lots going on with this page. And the other brilliant thing about it is this particular teacher has put page notes on all of them. So there's a few pages he's done in this flip chart. Really, really great ideas with page notes available too. This was another one as well, looking at the weather. That idea of drag a copy. So throughout the month, we could start to map what the weather is like. And this particular class are obviously not in Scotland, because that's not quite what our weather looks like right now, but at least it's not here, like I think some of you in America and Canada are probably experiencing, and other places of the world. So being able to create this weather chart. And what he's done as well is he has put a link on here that takes the class to a website where they could put in their zip code and find out the actual weather for that area. Now, obviously, this is for if you're in America, if you're in the US, but I'm sure you would be able to find similar websites that would do that for your country that you live in as well. Okay, so another great little idea. I love this one as well, and this is idea of, could be used in so many ways. So it could be your registration, moving the names into the Jellybean jar, okay, so the teacher can really quickly see who's here and who's not. Could also be used for finishing work. So if they've finished work, then once they're done, they can move their name into the jar, and then they can go off and do something else for that period of time. So the teacher can see really quickly who's finished. So lots of different ways. An adaptation on that one as well is to put all of the names in the jar, and this could be for a choosing activity. So maybe you're looking to do groups. So a fair way of randomly picking names out of the jar to reveal it. And so much nicer than just having them pulled from behind a blank box. Okay? Behavior as well, lots of great ways that you could use this. Another great one, this is Kelly Adams. Kelly Adams actually works in for the Promethean team in the US. And I like this idea, and it's just popping balloons, and it's so simple because it's using an action in the software called hidden. So when the pupils come in and click the balloon, it reveals the name underneath. Okay, so again, just a great way of randomly picking who goes next in the class. And that's just clicking on it. We have covered this action hidden in some of our other webinars. So if you do want to find out how to do that, you can look at some of our other webinars that covered that. And also under the professional development area on Promethean Planet in the active tips, there are active tips that show how to do this as well. I like this one as well, using the magic ink. So here, again, that idea of rubbing it out to revealing who's, I'm using quite a thick reveal there, but we could actually rub it out a little bit better this way, so to reveal who's next. So that scratch card idea. This is a behavior chart that Craig Segawa submitted for us, and I do like this one as well. So we've got the little faces. I would put the classes' names on here, so I could type my class's name in there, and then throughout the day we could cycle through. Behavior is brilliant. We're getting a little bit out of hand. Need to watch our behavior. And then he's also added this little unhappy face down at the bottom here. When we click it again, you've even put a little sound file for effect there as well. So adding sound files onto it. What I particularly liked, and I meant to put names in here earlier, so I'm just going to use my name, was the involvement that you could have with your class. So it doesn't have to be the teacher that is always interacting with the behavior chart. So down at the bottom, got these colored squares, and each of these colored squares gives a stage in their behavior management that the school uses. So I could change that very easily. This is just using tool tips to be able to do that. And what they could then do is use that fill tool to come up and be able to color their name, whichever color is appropriate to their behavior at that time in the school day. Okay. Another great idea here is looking at classroom behavior. So it's not always looking at individual behavior that's happening in the class. In this one, the teacher was looking at classroom behavior, so the whole class's behavior. And what they did was they got a little gumball reward for following particular desirable behaviors throughout the school day. So they could write a goal down at the bottom, so it might be just a number, or maybe they could write a goal of something that they want to attain by the end of the day, and then every time they work towards that, somebody could come and drag a gumball into the machine and put them in like this. And then what they did once they reached their goal was that they would be able to come and use that magic ink idea to reveal what their reward was going to be. Okay, so these could very easily be changed to whatever is appropriate in your class, in your school to do. But I like that idea of the whole class working together to make sure that they get one of their rewards. Or you could do that as a group activity as well. So just before I finish off, I'm just going to come back to Sam and see if there's any questions that haven't been answered.
Just one question that I'd like you to show people, Jan, is, first of all, can you just move the toolbar? You can see with part of the toolbar, you can try to move it to the left or the right.
I'm having trouble hearing your audio again, Sam. Sorry, what did you want me to move?
Sorry, I've just unplugged myself. Can you just move the toolbar to the left and the right to show how you grab it at the top?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
I can grab it. I can't grab it right now because you're speaking. So if we stop speaking for a minute till the box goes away. There we go. Now I can just pick that up and move that to either side, just like that.
Yep. And if you could just show where people find the browsers as well, because obviously yours were hovering down the left-hand side. It is something to note here that we're using ActivInspiring the studio skin. If you're using primary, your browsers appear slightly differently. So I don't know if you want to explain that a little bit further.
Sure. So if the browser's closed down, if it's not here on either side, if you go up to View in the main menu, and then you want to view your browsers, okay? So in Studio, which is the view that we're using today, it looks slightly different than Primary, but both of them do exactly the same thing. So everything we've shown you today, you can do in either of the interfaces. The big difference with the layout in the Primary interface is that your page browser and your resource browser are actually on your toolbar. The pen tool, you don't have your colors or your pen widths because you would get that when you click on the pen tool, which would then open up the menu on the bottom. All the menus open up on the bottom down here to make them more easily accessible for younger learners, okay, so for primary age learners. So as we said, everything that you are seeing tonight, you can do in either of the interfaces. And the software is built so you can easily switch between the interfaces. So if I go up to View and Dashboard, under Configure, you can see if I tick that box, the next time I close down my software and open it, it will open up in the primary look and feel. So what I always say to teachers is obviously we designed the primary interface because we researched into younger learners and what they need, and that's why it's designed the way it is. But if you don't want to use that, you always have the option of using the Studio interface. So it's available for anybody within the software. Okay, Sam?
Okay, that's everything. Thank you. There's been a couple of questions about fonts, which we can send out to you separately. So we do have contacts. So if you just bear with us when we'll put something together. Oh, sorry. Okay. Someone just come in and said, could we run through Magic Ink?
So I'll do Magic Ink really quickly. Again, on Promethean Planet under professional development, those kind of things are covered really, really nicely in short little video clips. So I would direct you to go there. But Magic Ink basically, what it is it works with any objects that are on the top layer, and it allows you to see through the top layer to what is underneath it. So in this case, you see it doesn't actually rub anything out. It just puts an object on top that's transparent to top layer items, but translucent to any other layers. Okay, so it just allows me to see through. So the simplest way to do that is just like this person has done here, to use the pen tool to draw over top. Okay, so if I just drag that out of the way, we'll use the pen tool, we'll use a nice thick one, and I'll do the yellow again. And all she did was just drew over top like that, and then use that Magic Ink to be able to rub it out. Okay, what I could also do though is if I used a shape, I could draw a shape over top of that box. Now with layering, that shape is on the middle layer. So the Magic Ink right now won't work on it. Okay, to make it work, I just need to select it, go to my Object Edit menu, and I want to reorder that and bring it to the top layer. And now when I use Magic Ink, it'll rub that out. So Magic Ink only works on top layer items.
Thanks, Janice. That's brilliant.
Okay.
Obviously, we are aware of assignments, so just so that you're aware of where you can go for some extra help, there are some next steps that we've put on the screen for you. So don't forget, you do have access to the ActivInspire user guide. It can be found on prometheankb.com. That stands for prometheanknowledgebase.com, and you can see the article name number there, so it's 136. Janice has mentioned throughout that we do have some fantastic active tips and inspire videos which are found on Promethean Planet under professional development. These are mini videos, usually between 3 and 7 minutes long, that are dedicated to a particular tool. So earlier in the session I noticed that someone was talking about downloading a resource pack. There is a link over there that tells you how to do that and what to look for, and there are the ones on Magic Ink and some of the other activities that we've looked at so far. There are manual so the core essentials are beyond the essentials.
Your audio again. Sorry, Sam, we're losing your audio again.
No idea what's going on. I do apologise. And you do have the help files within the software. So there's 4 main areas that we would recommend that you go through for your next steps. Check out that professional development area on Promethean Planet. It does have a wealth of resources there for you. You'll also notice that we have our Twitter handle on the screen, so Promethean UK&I or TLC for UK&I. If any of you do use Twitter and you want to give us a follow, you can find out what we're doing, and if there is any tips you can, and tricks that we're looking at that particular moment, they will be up there as well.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Just to finish off, wanted to put our class flow up here. So this is a new product that we're coming out with. If you haven't heard of it yet, do have a look. It's just www.classflow.com, and right now registration to try it out is free. So thank you very much for joining our webinar tonight, and I do apologize that we have run over time. I think we've done pretty well because I think we probably could have talked for about an hour and a half on classroom management. There's so many fantastic ideas out there. As we said, we have recorded this and we will be sending out the recording